Okay, so like I said, we had a bunch of people sign up. They're all straggling in. I'm Trisha with Easy E-mini Trade, and I'm presenting this webinar for Maria from Trade Order Flow. And I'm doing it because I love the tools. I'm very, very pleased with the tools, and I've been trying to get the word out there since I started to use them in August. And so this is one way of doing it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over using order flow and value areas either by themselves, or you can always add them to whatever setups that you're currently trading as well. And what we thought would be great is if we had a few of Maria's students show you what they've been doing with the order flow and the market profile value areas. So I hope that you find this helpful. What we'll do is I'm going to just give you a brief explanation on order flow and value areas, and then I'm going to hand the mic over to Ivor, then Steve, and then Barb, and they'll tell you what, like I said, they've been doing, and you're going to be able to ask them questions. You'll use the keyboard to ask the questions, and we'll just tell them what the questions are so they don't have to worry about reading through everything and answering them. So they'll answer via the mic, and we just wanted you to have another perspective from average traders who are using the software. Okay, so let's get started. And Maria's here as well, and so if you wanted to type in a question, she can answer via the keyboard as well. Okay, you guys, so trading using order flow and value areas. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with market profile, but a market profile is a vertical graphic that displays price and time, and this allows you to see at a glance the price levels that have the most concentrated volume. And basically what that translates into is if you have a price level that has a lot of volume there, that's likely going to be a support or resistance area. The more volume in an area of a price level that's accumulated, the harder it's going to be to get through. So with the tools that we use, and by the way, I forgot to mention the tools that we use are for Ninja, the proprietary software, and it's for Ninja. But the market profile that we use, we can use the VWAP, which is volume weighted average price. We can use it as a TPO, which is time price opportunity, which is probably what most of you are familiar with, or we can set it up as volume. And market profile was released to the public in 1985, and one of the developers was Peter Stadelmeier. And you can, I'll try to upload these slides so you guys will have access to these links, so you'll be able to click on the link. And then this will bring you to a tutorial at the CME. And that's actually supposed to be CME there. But anyway, it'll bring you to a nice tutorial on market profile. You can read Peter Stadelmeier's book. It's for free. You can look at one of the free versions on CME. And then another good book is Mind Over Markets by James Dalton. So if you want more info on the market profile, those would be great places to start. We're only doing an hour webinar here, and it's a really in-depth subject. So, you know, take it upon yourself to always learn more. Okay, so this is probably what most of you are familiar with as a market profile chart. And you can see here all the price levels, and this is an older chart, but you'll see newer charts here in a little bit. But here are all the price levels here. And as price is being traded, or as the market's being traded, each one of these areas here is a time period. I'm going to just go you to here. I'm going to just stretch it out a little bit so you can see. It assigns a letter to it, at least in what we're using here. It assigns a letter to it based on the time that you choose. So basically, let's just say A, for example. The letter A will be assigned for the first half hour, B to the second half hour, etc., and continuing through the day, and however you set it up. And so you can see all these letters accumulating in at these price levels. So when you look at this chart, this is a little scrunched up, but you can see all the higher concentrations of volume at the different price levels. So obviously you have a lot more concentration of volume in this area than you do at this area, etc. So that's the usual view that most people are familiar with when they think of a market profile. Now, what we like to do is, I like to use the volume weighted average price option, and I'll show you that in a second. But the way that the market profile works is when you see like this area here that's outlined, this is for a whole week. And this is the value area, and that's where the highest concentration of your volume is going to be. So a value area is the area that has 70% basically of the volume of the trades that took place. And so that's determined to be the fair value area. So when you have prices trading above the fair value area, that's considered that price is above value. And when prices trade below the fair value area, they're considered to be below value. And you'll see what I mean here once I show you my charts. And so then right in the middle of the fair value area is the point of control. Probably many of you have heard that POC, that's what it stands for, point of control. And you'll find that when price trades to the high or low value areas, that it very often is going to find its way back to the point of control. And if price trades outside or above the fair value area, very often price is going to trade back into the fair value area. So let me just pause my screen for a second and bring up my chart here so you can see. All right. All right, so this is the VWAP market profile. And so you have lots of options. You can choose to use the VWAP option, you can use the TPO, like I said, or you can use volume. And I'll show you that in just a second, but let me just explain what this is. So the yellow area is the fair value area. So anything in that area is considered to be a fair value price for whatever instrument you're trading. So usually this is going to be the area where you can kind of get stuck in some support and resistance areas when you're looking at, if you're plotting your own support and resistance. But what you're going to find is that when price doesn't have a really strong trend happening, you're going to find that price is going to cycle from the bottom of the value area to the top of the value area, to the bottom, then eventually to the top, bottom, top. And so you're going to see it cycle over and over and over again. The purple line in the middle is the point of control. And so when we look at this first area here where you see the end of the yellow, that's considered to be a high value area. And then this area right here would be the second high value area, right here where you can see where the blue ends. Then at the bottom, we have our first low value area here, and then we have the second low value area here. So places that you can take trades are, you can take them as price is breaking out of the fair value area. You can take them as it's trading into the fair value area. Now, I generally won't take it right as it's coming into the fair value area unless I have divergence, and then I will take it. You can trade it as it's breaking out above the second high value area. This is the point of control. Pretty much the point of control area runs smack dab right in the middle of everything. And price can go in either direction here. It can hang here, it can break out from here, or it can break down from here. So this is a little bit of a tricky area because it can go in either direction. But if you're using this with order flow, then that will give you a little bit of a hint who's stepping up, the buyers or sellers. And then we can trade, like I said, as it's coming outside the low value area here or down here. So if we were trading as price were breaking out here. Now this was this morning, and things were really whippy and wild off the open this morning. But as price was breaking through this area here, if you had more buyers than sellers stepping in, then you could go ahead and buy that. If here, as it's coming back into the fair value area, now like I said, this is a little bit tricky because it can just get hung up here because this is considered fair value area. So what I personally look for coming in to that area is I would look for, like I said, some divergence. I like a stochastic for spotting divergence, but you know, to each his own. Another way that we trade this is we have the prior day's value areas here. So I'm just going to scrunch this up a little bit so you can see what's there. So this blue line is a value area from yesterday, as is the red, this purpley line, the red, the blue. So these are prior days value areas. And they're relevant because you can take a break of those as well. You can take it breaking above here with more, you know, obviously more buyers stepping in. You're not going to try to buy it if you see more sellers are stepping in on the order flow. And then if you choose, you could sell it if you have sellers stepping up. So you have lots of areas where you can buy this. But how this is helpful, even if you're not familiar with market profile and you wanted to trade your own setups. Let's say that you got a setup, whatever setup that you're trading, and it's setting up for a buy right in this area here as you see it breaking out above this fair value area, then that's great. That's double confirmation. You see it happening here and you're getting a setup, so you go ahead and you can take it. You don't have to necessarily just trade the market profile, but you really don't need anything else. Now here you can see where it cycled up, hangs here for a while before it cycles down. A lot of times what will happen too is that it will cycle, hang on the point of control, and then it can retrace back up to the high value area, or coming from underneath, trade back up to the point of control, trade back down to the low value area, and then bounce up. Now when you have a strong trend happening, like this morning everything kind of died, once it breaks outside of the market profile here, this is always going to be expanding with price. So as price is making new lows, our market profile is going to get bigger. So you could take a breakdown when it comes outside the fair value, outside the low value area here as well. So let's say that you missed that. You can take a pullback. As it pulls back to the second low value area here, you can short it from there. Pulls back here, you can short it from there. Here, now if you had buyers stepping up, obviously you're not going to try to short it here, so you would pass on it as long as the order flow confirmed. If the order flow confirmed that sellers were stepping in, then you would go ahead and short that. And so that's what we do all day long, is just back and forth from the high value areas to the low value areas, or from one low value area to the next, low value area to the next. A lot of people will try to stay away from the fair value area, but like a day like today, here I'm going to just show you the end of the day. We have such a huge value area that you would miss out on a whole lot if anything were to happen in there. But obviously that wasn't the case here. So you would be taking pullbacks, pullbacks, pullbacks. Here it comes back in. So you have to determine, are you going to buy it? Now you could of course buy that as long as the buyers are stepping up. And then when it comes back out, you can short it. And I'm going to just bring back my presentation here so you could see the next slide. So the use of the value areas from the market profile and the order flow are a very effective trading combination as far as we're concerned. So the market profile tells us where the value areas are and the areas that price will either hold and trade back to, just like I was just showing you. And the order flow is going to tell us who's in control, the buyers or the sellers, and this helps determine whether price is going to hold or break through those areas. So let me now show you the what the order flow chart looks like. And I like using real charts instead of screenshots when I can, because it's just nicer. So here is the order flow, and I'm just going to scroll back here a little bit. I'm just going to stretch it out. And I have this on a 5-minute chart. You can put it on whatever you want. The chart that you were just looking at for the market profile is an 8-tick range chart. There's no magic number. It's going to be the same no matter what chart you put it on, because it's telling you the value areas based on price. So it doesn't matter what chart you're looking at. Price areas are always going to be the same. So this is a 5-minute chart, and I went kicking and screaming, fighting using a 5-minute chart because it just seems so big. A lot of times these bars get monstrous in size and they run off. Like here's a good example. They run off the screen and it's, looks like this because it's all scrunched up. So you have to kind of stretch it out. But I really do like the 5-minute, and I'll tell you why. I did used to use an 8-tick range chart to match the market profile chart that I was using, but I actually started to do better when I went to the 5-minute, and that's what Maria uses. She uses the 5-minute. But basically this is telling us our bias based on a 5-minute chart. So when you're looking at an 8-tick range chart, it's hard to have a bias overall because it oftentimes can be such a small amount of time that is covering. So you can get the bars forming much faster, whereas this would be the equivalent of using a higher time frame. If you were using multiple time frames for multiple time frame analysis, this is the equivalent of that. So you're basing your entries from a smaller chart based on the bias of this 5-minute chart. So on this chart here, each bar here represents 5 minutes, and this is the, it was a crazy wild day today. I'm sure it's because it's the last day of the month. So we have some big wild bars, but looking at this, we've got the buyers on the right, the sellers on the left, and there are many different ways that you can view this and many different items that you can put on here depending on what you want to look at. So here are all the options here. Down here I can put the bid and the ask. I can put maximum delta, minimum delta, just by a click of a button. This is how I like to have it laid out. I like to have the delta on the number 1 line here. And if you're not familiar with what the delta is, the delta will be the difference between the number of buy orders that you have compared to the number of sell orders that you have. So when you look at this bar here, this is telling us on this whole entire bar that's here on this 5-minute chart, that I'm just going to scrunch it up here a little bit, that we have 859 more sell orders than we do buy orders. When we see it here, you can see this 468. We have 468 more buy orders on this bar than sell orders. And so what we're looking for is when we're looking to take a short, we're looking to see a negative delta. When we're looking to take a buy, we're looking to see a positive delta. Now, obviously, and I'm just going to scroll this to the end, obviously there's not going to be much action going on now, but what we're looking to see also is we can actually see the orders coming in. So you'll be able to see these forming pretty quickly. You'll be able to see who's stepping up, the buyers or the sellers. So obviously this is not a static chart. It's always going to be dynamic. And the other nice thing about the chart is you can choose how you want to view these. So this is how I like to view it. You can view it as bid times ask, if you like that view better. You can view it as a histogram, Bidask Histogram if you want. So you can see this is this would obviously be the price level where you had more sellers stepping in. You can choose to view it as just the delta. So at each price level, you can tell who is in charge, buyers or sellers if you want. And you can tell that by looking at the bid and the ask as well. It's just a matter of getting used to whatever is easy for you to grasp it quickly. And it takes some practice, I'm not going to lie. It takes some practice getting used to seeing everything moving. And you have other options as well, delta percentage, graduated volume, delta colored volume, high-low volume, volume histogram. Again, the choice is yours, and this is mine right here. And so that's the order flow. And a couple of nice features on this is that it also will plot your value areas. So let me just scroll down here so we can find, let's see, it's going to be above me here. I'm just going to scrunch this up so I can see where it is. It's a million miles away because of the price action the way it was. But this would be low value area number 1. This would be low value area number 2. So it's going to match your market profile chart that I was just showing you before with the blue and the yellow. These red lines, blue lines are pivot highs and pivot lows. You could trade those if you prefer as well. And then over here on the left, you've got volume also. And so how that's helpful is a lot of times we'll trade, we call it the vacuum or the suction. So when you've got a lot of volume, there's the point of control right there in blue. When you've got a lot of volume in a concentrated area like this, and then you have like a little gap here or opening, you can see all the little openings here. What is really amazing, and it happens over and over again. So let's say you were up here. You're going to get stuck here because you have a lot of volume. But let's say that you had a short setting up and you take the short. It's likely going to trade through this area here to the next high volume area. And then if it can break that, then it's going to be sucked down to the next high volume area and then the next high volume area. It happens over and over and over again. So a lot of times if you're going to take a breakdown, let's say, or a breakout, and you see that it's breaking down into one of those little openings like I'm talking about here, usually it's going to move pretty quickly and be pretty quickly sucked down to the next high volume area. We've got the capability of plotting fib lines on here. That's what these green lines are. We've got so many capabilities with these charts, and it's all customizable with a click of a button. You just set, put a check mark next to what you want to see or uncheck what you don't want to see. And it's that simple. And so when we're looking to take an entry based on the chart that I was just showing you, we just back it up with the order flow. So obviously this is has already happened, but let's say here, let's find this buy here at 330. Let's see what that looked like here. So this would be the bar that's forming at the time, right at 330. So this will take you from 330 to 335. Right here, we've got this green delta here. So that's telling us as that bar is forming, now obviously this bar is complete, so it's a high number, but as it's forming, chances are good that it still had a positive delta, meaning that it was green and you had more buyers than sellers. So realistically, you could, buy that into that area as long as you had the order flow supporting it. But let's say that it was coming into this, back into this low value area here, and we had negative delta, and you can see that we had more sellers stepping up, then you're not going to try to buy this. If you had more sellers stepping up, that would be a place where you could actually short it again. But looking at the order flow here, you can actually see in comparison to the left side here where we have the sellers, it's no comparison. 0, 0, 0, 0. Really low numbers compared to these higher numbers on the buy side. And then as it's gaining a little momentum there, you can see that the numbers are increasing on the buy side compared to the sell side, not really doing much of anything. So that's the order flow on the left. This is the market profile on the right. And the other thing that I wanted to show you real quick before we get to Ivor, we're going to make Ivor talk first, is that on this chart as well, we've got our volume. You can see our volume here. So you can also use those little volume nodes as a hint on areas where you might get stuck. So let's say that you took a short here at 424. Let me just use my pointer, it's a little easier. Right here, let's just say that that you took a short right in this area here where you've got higher volume. Let's say you had a breakdown of some sort, or it was coming into value area, or out of the value area, I should say. the likelihood is that it could easily be sucked down to this area here, and then et cetera, et cetera. And you'll see that happening. It's the same if you were buying. If you were buying and you saw that you had that little indent in volume, then you would be looking for the next high volume area to be a target area, target area, target area, target area. And then also, we've got the outline of cumulative volume on here. So this is covering a couple days. So let's say that I trade outside the profile here. So we start, let's say we were higher, then I would know, okay, we're moving higher, but we're probably going to get stuck here. And then we're probably going to get stuck here. And then a couple of these areas here, we're probably going to get stuck on until we get up here, and then we're going to get really stuck. So I hope that makes sense. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause my screen and get ready for Ivor. And then I'm going to let him show his screen here. So let me just get Ivor here. So let me unmute Ivor, and I'm going to make him the presenter. So this afternoon we have with us Ivor, Barbara, and Stephen, who are students of Maria's, and they were brave enough to be willing to share their charts and their a couple of their trades that they took. So we thought that you'd really enjoy hearing it from just an average Joe who's making it work. So hey Ivor, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Trisha?
I am good. So you can take it away.
The first chart, is a VWAP chart. It's an 8-range chart. It's on your left. The other two charts to your right are order flow charts. I have a 5-minute and an 8-range. In other words, a long term and confirmation with a short term on your order flow.
Now you can use your pointer too if you want to show us exactly what you're talking about. That would be great. There we go.
I had 2 contracts. I took a long at the first low value area, and my target was going to be the point of control, which is up here. I took the first, my confirmations. On the 5-minute, I was looking for a positive delta, which you could see, which I'm pointing to, and I also confirmed it with the shorter term 8-range chart with also a positive delta. I have other confirmations on my VWAP chart that I used, which also indicate a positive trend. So the first contract was taken off at the pullback, and then the second contract went to the point of control.
No, that's excellent. Now, how long have you been using the order flow and the market profile?
Just a few months.
Okay. And so did you find that it took some practice and some getting used to?
Yeah, but you learn very quickly. Maria is an excellent teacher. She's always there, willing to answer any of your questions.
Yeah. Now, had you looked at any other order flow or any other type of product before you got Maria's?
I did a long time ago, but most of it didn't make sense, so I discarded it. And then when I saw Maria's, I was real excited because it was an opportunity to trade and, what's that, make money. Well, I was impressed.
Now, what I found when I was looking for order flow tools was that there were some decent tools out there, even some inexpensive free tools, but there's no training that goes with it, which I found was really important because, you know, there's so many order flow products and so forth out there, and it's really confusing. But to me, the key was having the training, which Maria gives everyone 6 months free in the training room to learn how to use these tools, which I think is really great. So do you So that trade obviously worked out really nicely.
Yes, it did.
Now, do you want to show us your next trade?
Sure. My next trade was also on the NQ. It was in the afternoon around, it was almost 2 o'clock. I took a short with 2 contracts from the first low value area, and my initial target was the green dash dot line, which was the developing market profile, and I let the okay, going too fast.
That's okay.
Before I took the trade, I confirmed it with my delta on the 5-minute, or the 3. Actually, this is the 3-minute. You could use whatever you want here. It was the 3-minute, and then I also confirmed it with a shorter term, the 8 range, and they're both negative.
That's great.
So the first target was the developing market profile, which was the dash dot dot. I took 1 contract off. I let it run, and then the first pullback, I took the second one. From retrospect, I could see I should have just let it run.
Right, right. So let me ask you this. Back when it first came into the low value area prior to your entry there,
yes,
it looks like
I didn't have enough confirmations.
Okay.
I didn't feel comfortable with it. That's
Okay.
why I didn't take it.
Okay. Well, great. Obviously, it would have worked either way, but that's great. So you just waited for a retracement back up to that low value area and then took it as a retracement.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Really nice. And you guys will notice the orange little blocks on Ivor's charts on the right-hand side. And you have the capability of plotting those as well. Those will plot support resistance areas based on a lot of either buyers or sellers stepping in. So I find them distracting, but a lot of people like to put those on there, so I never mentioned that. So that's great. Really great, Ivor. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, we really appreciate your time, and unless you have anything else to say, I think we'll oh, wait. Tom is asking you a question, Ivor. He wants to know, can you tell us about your stops and losses, say, on the NQ? So he just wants to know basically what size stop or where are you putting your stop?
At 10 ticks.
10 ticks, Tom. So Tom, Ivor's using a 10 tick stop. And Matt wants to know, did you start out trading 2 contracts or did you start with just 1?
I started with 1.
So there's your answer, Matt and Tom. Great. So I really appreciate you stepping up to the plate here, Ivor. I know it's a little nerve-wracking, but we really appreciate it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make Steve the presenter. And then, Steve, hopefully that you're ready with yours. And what I'll do is I will mute Ivor and unmute Steve.
Hello.
Hey, Steve.
Trisha, how you doing?
I'm
Go
good.
ahead and put up my chart.
Okay.
Here's my first chart. Can you see it?
Not yet.
Okay. Now can you see it?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
What there it is.
See it?
Now we can see it. Perfect.
Okay. And I'm in the camp of keep it simple, stupid, the KISS theory, and without getting too complicated, so that as you're trading, there's so much going on. Your nerves are flying anyway. It gets difficult to be watching everything at once. So I kind of simplify things. And this trade I took on CL, which would be the food. And it came in. I have you can use any system that you have already. One of the systems that I purchased from Maria is an add-on. It doesn't come with the package, but you can go ahead and purchase it at discount from her. It's called the Skipper, and it gives you a little bit of an arrow right here. And I've learned how to use it over time. But I got an arrow there, and then I knew it was heading into this is the high value area line here, the second high value area line. And as I went ahead and got the signal from the scalper, and then sure enough we get a break of the value area, and I went ahead and took that trade right there. Okay, and then what I used was on the right-hand side, you'll see the order flow, and there again you can run your whatever priority system that you have, or you can buy the scalper or whatever. I got a red signal there also, and then I checked down to the delta, and sure enough, it was confirmed. So the trade went off, and it worked real well. I'm very happy with that.
Very nice, yeah.
Okay, real simple. It's nothing.
Now,
you don't have to get real.
If you don't mind, can I ask you where you put your stop? And this is on CL, you guys. This is on CL.
Yeah, then it would most likely be right be in these upper areas right up here.
Okay.
So 10 ticks would be about right.
Okay.
You know, whatever. Sure. And but usually what will happen, she'll either go or she'll bounce back out. If she starts bouncing back out, I'm out.
Okay.
You know. But she followed right through. But I had the confirmation, the negative delta confirmation right over here.
No, you guys will notice, hopefully you can see it on Steve's chart, but he's choosing the option on his order flow. He's looking at the delta, so he prefers to look at that as opposed to what I like to look at, the bid and the ask.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because yeah, that's correct. Also, you'll notice on the right hand here, you see the profile? See that gap right in here?
Uh-huh.
That's also, when you hit that area, you fly. She just flies right through it. So it keeps you in, and you stay in all the way, and then when you get to the positive delta, you're out. Usually take it out.
So you were hoping to get to the point of control, which is the blue line, but once you saw
Correct.
the positive delta coming in, the buyer stepping in and getting a positive delta reading, you decided to exit the trade.
That's correct.
Okay, so
that's how Maria does it. Yeah.
Okay, and so that's what he did, Matt. He was, shooting for the point of control, which is that blue line just under the price bars there on the chart on the left. But when he saw that it wasn't going, and he saw the buyer stepping up, rather than just letting it retrace all the way back up, he exited. And Marty, the add-on that he was talking about is the scalper is it's a setup of its own. And so that's what he meant by the add-on. So he's using a scalper, which he uses in conjunction with the order flow. No problem. So let's go on to your next chart, Steve. Oops, we lost Steve. Okay, well, I have his next chart, so let me just put it up here then. So let me make myself the presenter again. All right, so just give me a second here. Let me just bring up my screen. Okay, here we go. All right, so not sure what happened to Steve, but glad I was prepared. I told him send me their charts just in case we run into trouble. So here is Steve's order flow chart for another trade that he took on the Russell. And, oh, Steve, you're back. Do you want to explain it? Okay, so I think Steve might be having some technical issues. All right, so this is the order flow chart. And like I was saying, we've got the value areas on the order flow chart as well. So when he saw price breaking.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, can you? Sure. I'm sorry, something happened.
That's okay.
I'm
you
near
go ahead
an
and
airport.
talk
I
and
think
I'll
a
point.
plane just flew over. Anyway, what happened was we went ahead. This is just the idea if you want to use the order flow itself, and it's just the idea is that this is a confirming when you make a trade, you can this confirms your move, and then when you get to positive delta, you want to exit the trade. But this one worked out real well, and actually what I have here, I have a fractal or a pivot high that says, and when she backed up here, then I went ahead, and when she broke, I went ahead and took it down. Okay,
so when it broke right here, so when it broke this pivot, this red line here, you took it on confirmation of the negative delta.
Correct, and stay in it. That's
And
what's so cool about it. You stay in it until she turns green,
so you
and it
guys,
keeps you in the trade.
so you
Yeah.
can see here, you guys, he had negative, 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 negative. Now here he might have been thinking, okay, well, it's not a whole lot of negative, but let me see what happens. And then it picks back up again, and then he can see it here coming to an end. And so he exited once he saw.
Yes.
Tom's asking,
Right.
how many markets do you watch and trade at once? Which markets?
Well, I start out. Maria's great because you can. I like to. I'm retired, so this is a hobby / income type of thing. And but she starts early in the morning at 4 a.m. and I'm usually up. I like to trade the London Open of the Nasdaq, which is at 3, and it trades a lot smoother than the 9:30 Open.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm along with so Maria's up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and that's usually when I start during the day. And she will trade crude. She likes to play crude in the morning, the 6E, and then also we can play. Then I like to do the Nasdaq. So those 3 markets are the ones that I look at, but mostly the Nasdaq right now.
Right, and Maria's
and crude, yeah.
right, and Maria's room for training is open from 4 a.m. Eastern to 11:30 a.m. Eastern. So you've got Monday through Friday, all those hours to get trained. Maria is an amazing trader. She's hard to keep up with because she trades so fast, and she just blows my mind over and over again. And it's great to watch. So everyone has their own trading style, and there's no right or wrong. So that's the beauty of trading, is that we can all still have our own little twist on things, which is really nice. Let's see. So Ernesto, he's wanting to know, do you wait for the bar to close to validate whether the delta is negative or positive?
Yes, usually I'll take it right when I get the first negative, and you keep a look at it, keep an eye on it, and you're going to enter, but you want to make sure that that it's negative. She closes negative, and then go ahead and take the trade.
Okay.
And then usually I'll put a stop right back up in here someplace, that type of thing.
Okay. Up here, you would put your stop up here.
Right.
Okay, above it's above this pivot high area.
Above the pivot line, she'd have to really reverse back a little bit.
Okay. And how long have you been using the order flow and the market profile?
Oh my God, I can't. I think I started in January.
Okay, so not too long.
January, February, yeah.
And so
not too long. I went 3 months. What you can do though, if you have a system that you like right now, this is a great confirmation system. And
that's how I like it. I like it for my setups that I like to trade, and I just
you do the yeah.
Yep, I like to confirm it with the order flow and the market profile areas, which is really great.
And you also you sent me an email on the Slinky the other day, and I just was fooling around with it, and I looked at it last night, and it looked like the parabolics of old. So I combined the parabolics with the Slinky this morning. I made my money early at 3 o'clock. So, but the market opened and I did well there. But then after it was so crazy, I said, the heck with it. So I started fooling around with it. But this is what I came up with. You see this chart?
No, I didn't. How about we talk about that later? Would that be okay?
Okay, sure, no problem.
Thank you.
No problem. But you can go ahead and you can be very creative with it. The
yes,
system.
And
it's a confirming system.
That's exactly right. So you can trade whatever setups you like, and you can confirm it with the order flow. And then the other thing is you can just check and see where your setups are setting up in relation to that market profile value areas. And let's see, we may have another question here. Tom's asking NQ pre-market or from 9:30.
I do pre-market with NQ. It opens up at 3 a.m. and that's usually when I watch it. But it follows pretty much the same rules as the 9:30 open too,
and Tom,
which I didn't know. I never did this before. I mean, I was never up that early.
Right. And
but
Tom,
Maria gets up at 4.
Yep.
And I started doing that, and I said, "Wow, this thing moves just at 4 o'clock."
Yep.
It's a slower move.
Right, and it's a little nicer to trade. I don't mind the NQ pre-market either. Before I had the order flow, I would never trade it pre-market. But now that I've got the order flow, I'll trade. I like the NQ, and I like the YM pre-market too. There's actually more volume usually on the YM pre-market than the NQ, if you can believe that, Tom. Okay, Abe is asking, why don't you use a 1-minute chart instead of the 5 minutes? And that, again, Abe, that's a preference. You can use any size chart you want, but you might have missed the explanation earlier. But if you're using a 5-minute chart for your order flow, it's basically giving you a bias on a larger chart, but you can use a 1 minute. It doesn't have to be a 5-minute. You can use a range chart, you can use a tick chart, you can use whatever you like. So it's totally up to the individual. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let's find Barbara, and I'm going to make Barbara active now. And we really appreciate your time, Steve. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right, so let's find Barbara here on my list. Here she is. Let's make Barbara. Actually, I'm not going to make Barbara the presenter. Let me just unmute Barbara. There we go. Okay, so Barbara, I'm going to get your charts up here. How are you doing? You doing well, Barbara? Barbara.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you so much.
Okie doke.
So this is Barbara's chart, and I'm going to be doing the pointing for Barbara. So if I'm not in the correct spot, then let me know. Okay, Barbara?
Okie doke. Okay, I've been trading the NASDAQ, one contract in the morning. Usually I try to wait till 9:30. Madness is gone, but sometimes I get seduced in. And here I made an entry just below the upper value area, going into fair value. And I was looking for it to go to the developing market profile, which is the red / / line right there that
Right here.
Trisha's pointing to. And I've been trying to do 1 or 2 trades a day and not get so crazy anymore. So once I got out of that one, I re-entered right at the upper value area in developing market profile line. And then I decided to leave my stop right above there, and let's see if it could go all the way across fair value area. And I put a target in right above the lower value area in the developing market profile. And indeed it went. It was a beautiful trade.
Now, this is something that Barbara's been working on here, and I'm really intrigued by it because I kept saying, if I could do this, it would make me so happy, but I get antsy. But what Barbara's been doing, you guys, remember how we were talking about earlier, how it will cycle, go from the upper value area to the lower, to the upper, to the lower. And Barbara has been taking it from one end to the other. So as you can see here on her re-entry, she actually was able to ride it all the way down to the low value area here because she knew that realistically it wasn't a strong trending day. This was the 22nd. It wasn't a strong trending day, so the likelihood was good that it's going to go from one end to the other if you could sit through the heat that sometimes you feel in this area while you're waiting for it to find the other side. So she's been doing amazing with that.
Actually, I didn't manage my stop at all. I just left it up there. I figured, okay, I'd win or I'd lose, which is not great stop management, but that's what I did on that trade. And if you look down below, these are 2 indicators that Maria gives you among many that she gives you. And they confirmed the red line was going up with DM plus short, and the delta was salmon colored for negative delta.
You know, let me go, I'll go to your order flow. It's a little hard to see because it's scrunched up, but this is where she took her entry here.
Yeah.
The first one, and then here was where she got out. Is that right? And then you got back in here and rode it all the way down to here. So the delta she's referring to is she exited, she entered when the delta was negative, but she exited when it turned positive, if I'm understanding correctly.
Well, on that 351 that's green, the action bar was actually negative.
Okay.
So it looks like it was positive, but what was coming into that bar was negative.
Right, and I'll show you what she means by the action bar in just a second, because we have another bar that is forming at the same time as our bar here, which is really helpful. And so here she exited at the bottom of the profile here with positive delta, which was right here. Correct?
Correct.
Awesome.
And I was also pointing out, if you look down the bottom of the chart, the DM plus short and the delta was negative on the MR balance, the last indicator on the bottom of the chart.
Okay, and this is also
down there.
Right, and this is showing the delta as well for you guys who like to have a different view. This is an add-on for other tools that Maria offers, which will tell you the delta is negative or positive, etc. And this is a DM, the DM, and so anybody can use that as well. Great. So we want to move on to your next trade?
Sure.
Oh, and yes, Matt, that was the coast to coast that Maria talks about, going from one coast to the other coast. Exactly.
Now these tools, the DM plus and the MR balance and the MR breakdown and volume and all sorts of momentum, she has all sorts of other tools she includes with it. I just tried to simplify it because I had so many on there. I was watching everything.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
These are my favorites.
Don's saying nerves of steel because you were in that trade for a half hour, and sometimes it could be longer.
I know.
But here's the scary part. It's like here, if you get in up here and you want to ride it all the way down to here, and so you're in here, you could have had a nice profit here, and then you watch it retrace all the way back up there, and it's like, oh crap, you know what? I should have taken something off while I had the chance. And then, you're paid for definitely your patience. But this is hard to sit through. I have to admit, this would be really hard to sit through. Right up here.
It was. But I had some profit under my belt at that point.
That's awesome. So good. Let's move on to the next, to your next trade here. There we go.
Okay, this was 2 days ago, again on the NQ. One contract I got long at the lower value area, where if you go down below to the same two indicators, they were showing to go long. And then I had my target set at the green dashed line, which is the developing market profile. But I also had a trailing stop in, and that stopped me out a little bit earlier.
It's still an awesome.
So that's why I was out there where I was, because of the trailing stop.
Now, let me ask you a question. So where you entered in right here,
right?
Was the delta not agreeing here? Is that why you didn't take it as it was first coming back in, or you wanted a little more confirmation?
I just like a little more confirmation.
Okay, perfect.
Let's see what the order flow says.
Certainly. There we go. So here's where...
Yeah. Positive for the delta on the order flow, which is like totally amazing, because that's what's telling you what's happening right now, right there, right then. It's not like waiting for a stochastic cross or an EMA cross. I mean, I've tried it all. In this, I've been teaching myself and taking all different stuff for 15 years. And from stocks to options to commodities to forex to futures. I found out I like futures best, and I stumbled over Maria. And thank the Lord every day. I mean, this just makes sense. She's a great teacher. I don't know what else to say.
That's great. Well, we really appreciate your time, Barbara, and great job. Excellent, excellent job. So awesome. Okay, so I'm going to show you Christie's trades. Christy couldn't be here because she had to work, but this is Christie's trades, and she has her colors a little bit differently. So here's the value area in yellow. And so she took a short when it was coming outside of the low value area, the first low value area. And you'll notice this green line here. This is the previous day's point of control, and then this pinkish line is one of the value areas from the previous day as well. So she entered in here. She had confirmation with the negative delta here. Also, if you're at the time, obviously this is not dynamic at the moment, obviously, because we're looking at a screenshot. But as this is happening, you can see, even just looking at the numbers side by side, and actually you're going to look at these on a diagonal, just like you do on your dome. So you can see that you've got, you know, the higher number of sellers than you do buyers, obviously. And this is on crude. And so she took her first target here as she was coming outside the second low value area. And then she took her second target down here as soon as she saw this price bar right here break above this. So as soon as it took out, this bar took out the high of this bar right here, she exited. Her next trade, this is on the 6E. This is from the 23rd. And so she took a buy here when price was coming outside of the value area into the breaking into the first high value area here. She confirmed it with the order flow. Again, you can see the high number here. This number is always moving, and I'll show you here on my charts in just a second. But this number is always changing. So as long as it's not like, you know, you're reading like a +5 and you're looking to take a long, you might want to wait until you see a little bit more of a difference in the delta before jumping in. I think Maria likes to see more than 125 trades or 100 trades, something like that. There's no set number, but you can just tell. You can just tell. And so she bought here. She took her first target here as it was coming out of the second high value area, and she stayed in the trade, trailing it, and then she got out when this bar right here traded back below this fib grid line. So she has fibs on here as well. That's what these lines are. You can see the purple, the green, the green, the purple. So as soon as this price bar dipped below that fib line, she exited because she's probably figured that it was going to wind up retracing. So, you know, a bigger retracement. So that's where she exited. So let me just bring up my charts real quick. I just want to show you that action bar that we were talking about, and get my correct chart up here. Here we go. So this is my chart. Let me just make this a little bigger. And let's see, on this chart here, I don't have the action bar showing, but let me just make it showing. Action bar. There we go. And let me just change my view because I like that. So as this bar is forming here, this bar is also forming. So this is going to be more aggressive. Oops. There we go. Thanks, Don. So this is the action bar. And this is the bar that's also forming. So both of these are happening at the same time. And these are more aggressive orders coming in, buyers and sellers. And obviously it's not moving now because we don't have anything going on. But you can watch the orders coming in on this, and then it will take them and move them over onto this bar. So these bars are always forming. So when Barbara was saying earlier, when we were looking at her delta, and it looked, I can't remember if it was, I think it was showing positive, but she said at the time her action bar was negative. So her delta here might have been a little positive, but this was showing big sellers on this bar, on this action bar. So that's why she still took it. So these are the indicators that you get. And then like Barbara was saying, Maria always throws in a bunch of extra stuff. She's very generous. She's very generous with her time. And she really is committed to everybody learning how to use the tools if they do purchase them. It comes with 6 months free training in the training room. And like I said, it's open from Monday to Friday, 4 a.m. to 11:30. And what she's willing to do is anybody who orders these tools, and that's the wrong date, obviously, who orders the tools by tomorrow night, so let's say May 1st, midnight May 1st, she'll give $200 off the package, and she'll give you 7 months training instead of 6. So that's a total savings of $599, because if you were to pay for a room in a month in Maria's room, it's $399. And then if you haven't taken a trial in Maria's room, she'll give you a day in the room, and it's by request only. So send her an email, trade the e-minis, and I'll send these slides out to you guys as well. But you get the divergence delta, market profile, the order flow chart, price action, and the Vivo app market profile. And like we said, this can be a TPO, it could be a volume, it's whatever you like. And I'm going to give Maria the mic just for a moment. And Maria, if you have anything to say, you're welcome to say it. Let me just find you here, and I'll unmute you. Yeah, date is wrong. There we go. So I'm just going to unmute you. Yeah, so the date's wrong. So Maria, you're unmuted.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here this afternoon. We appreciate your time. And I want to especially thank Barbara, Ivor, Steve, Christy, even though she's not here, for helping us with this presentation. And I also want to tell you how proud I am that you're doing well.
Awesome.
It makes me personally happy to see other people. I don't want to be the only one in my room making money.
So Matt's asking, Trish, has Maria's tools increased your winning percentage or just made your trading less stressful? A little bit of both, Matt. I'll tell you where it's made a huge difference. When I've been taking breakouts and breakdowns before, and I'm not going to say that they all are winners because that's not true. There's no such thing as all winners. But it has helped with, and there are people in here that are in my room that can attest to the fact that the breakdowns have worked a lot better when we're taking them because I'm looking at the order flow. And like we were saying earlier, is that I can look for those little volume suction areas going from one high volume area to the next, and that has made a tremendous difference in my trading. And this runs on Ninja, Victor, so I'm not sure how much longer you're going to be able to get free demos with Ninja, but it works on the free demo as well, which we used to be able to renew every 21 days, so I don't know how long that's still going to be in effect. And Marcus is asking, does this work with high volume equities like Apple? So Maria, do you know anybody trading?
Yes.
It does work on equities.
It does. Yeah.
Do you know anybody trading them on equities?
No, I don't, but I think we've had this email back and forth, and I know some people are definitely using order flow for their equities trading.
Okay. So Mark, know this.
So it'll work. Anything that you have data that you could plug in, it'll work on forex. You could plug it into equities, ETFs. I mean, anything that you day trade, if you have the data to run the engine, it will work.
And Dennis is asking about, do all the people in Maria's room make money? Now, see, that's the thing that always gets me because everybody trades different, Dennis. So you could have 10 people doing the exact, looking at the exact same tools, but all 10 people are going to trade totally different. Maria can take 30 trades in a day where somebody else might only want to take 5 trades in a day and stay, like Barbara, for example, doing a coast to coast with one entry from one end to the other. Most people couldn't stand that long in the trade and watch it going against them. So someone like that would have different results than somebody who is a scalper who might only be scalping for a couple points at a time. So, it's hard to say everybody absolutely in Maria's room is profitable because everybody trades so different. You understand? So
we do have a track record for trades that are called in the room.
So you can take Maria's trades and you could do well with that. If anybody wants that, send Maria an email.
Even if you made half the amount of money, and all of my trades are not listed. This is the official room record. Stephen, who's in our room every day from 4 a.m., is the official record keeper. He does a very good job of keeping me honest. Although I get mad at him sometimes if he doesn't hear a trade. But at any rate, these are trades that are called. Once you have the software, you know where I'm looking to take a trade.
Because the whole idea, too.
Now, how you manage the trade is another issue. I may hold it longer. I may not freak out. My nerves might be calmer because I have more experience with certain markets. So I can get you in the trade. I can tell you where I'm looking to get out, and I can tell you when I've killed it.
Very good. And then
so I hope that helped you out there.
No, just send Maria an email, and it's tradetheeminis@gmail.com, and I'll make sure when I send out the recording tomorrow that you'll have Maria's contact information, because if you want this special, you'll have to send her an email anyway, and it's tradetheeminis@gmail.com.
There's a track record at www.tradeorderflow.com. It's approximately 8 weeks old, and I can tell you that it's very fat.
So there.
And those are room only calls.
And
There's no DAX, which I trade. There's no FESX sometimes that I've traded. There's no gold that I've traded. So my actual personal results are higher. However, those are accurate results.
And two, everyone needs to remember too that the purpose of the room is that it's a training room to train people how to use these tools that they purchase. It's not necessarily a trade calling room, but she does call trades that she's taking. So you have to be clear that the fact is her goal is that everybody knows what she's doing so you can do the same thing. So you're not reliant on somebody else to tell you how to use these tools. And if you want information on the package, go to tradeorderflow.com and you'll see it there. Maria, I don't know what the full price is. Before the discount, is it 30? What is it? 32?
$32.50.
It's $32.50, so $3,200.
But it also give you about $1,600 worth of additional tools. So.
Yeah, so she gives you a bunch of freebies as well. So
that I think are well worth it owning anyway.
Yeah, and like I was saying with the other order flow products that are out there,
hello, Keshav.
You just
long time no see, Copel. No, I know some people in here, Paul.
So you just don't get the tools, you get the training as well. All right, you guys.
And you get boot camps too.
Oh yeah, she gives usually 2 boot camps a month where she requires you to record a trade, whether it was sim or live, so she can then see what you're doing, so she can critique it and hopefully see how you're doing with it.
I'm going to actually quote John Sperry, who's in the room, who said this is the closest thing we'll ever have to a Holy Grail, or this is the Holy Grail, which I thought was great. Of course, there is no Holy Grail, but it's, when you use it right, you can make some serious change.
And Victor, $32.50 is the price before the discount. So anybody who's interested in the tools and the discount and the extra month in her training room, send her an email at tradetheeminis@gmail.com. This information will be in the recording that I send out tomorrow, but in case you want to send her an email tonight, that's it, tradetheeminis@gmail.com. Okay, you guys, well, we really appreciate you coming, and we really appreciate your time, and hopefully you got something from hearing from actual people who are using it, not just listening to people presenting the webinar. And if anybody has any more questions, now would be the time. Otherwise, I think we are going to call it a day. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, so it looks like we are good then. So I hope you all have a fabulous weekend. Any questions, you can direct them to me or Maria. Thanks, Mike. And you guys all take care and have a great afternoon.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone.